Welcome to the Independent Advisors Podcast, where we dive into the world of stocks, tradable markets, and financial planning with Jessup Wealth Management's Chief Investment Officer, Mark McEvily, and CEO, Matt Jessup. You'll hear tips, tricks, and strategies to address your financial well-being and, most importantly, conveyed in a way that everyone can understand. Here are your hosts, Mark and Matt.
For each employee that is hired at Jessup Wealth Management, we record an employee spotlight so clients and followers can get to know them better. We've never done an employee spotlight, so we thought it would be fun to dedicate a podcast to one another so that listeners can get to know us better, both professionally and personally. In this episode, myself, Matthew Jessup, will be interviewing my business partner and CIO of Jessup Wealth Management, the one and only Mark McEvily, with a round of 20 questions. Some of these questions are serious, others are plain fun. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks. Tables have turned because I know that I already interviewed you on this, and that was fun for me, but we'll see if it's going to be fun sitting on the other end of the mic here.
I am a kid in a candy store right now, my friend. So let's just dig in.
Okay.
You ready? Question number one. Who is your idol, and what qualities do you love about that person?
Yeah, so this is, I think this is an easy one for me. It would be my dad. So my dad is, and you know my dad, Jerry.
I love Jerry.
Just hardworking individual, puts his head down, gets the work done that he needs to get done, provides for his family. Did a phenomenal job, raising me and my two brothers, and just a really good family man. And he instilled in me, how important, number one, family is, and, that you need to work your butt off to get where you want to be in life. And I think that I've taken that from him and implemented it in my own life, and just hope that, one day when Kenzie and I decide to have a family, I could be as good a dad as he was.
Phenomenally said. Jerry's always has words of wisdom. Phenomenal person. You're very blessed, my friend.
I am.
Number two, describe your perfect day.
My perfect day. You could probably answer this one for me.
I could.
My perfect day would probably be getting up early in the morning, having a cup of coffee, doing some stock research on the markets and that type of thing. Then about 8, 9 o'clock, get out to the golf course, play around the golf, grab a drink with my buddies, and just relax for the rest of the day.
That sounds perfect to me.
I don't like to, when I'm on the weekends and stuff, or when we're on vacation, I like to kind of just hang out and just not, be traveling all over the place and that type of thing. So a lot of relaxation, but definitely would be stock research in the morning, golf mid-morning, and then hang out with buddies in the afternoon.
Maybe a steakhouse in the evening?
Yeah, and steakhouse in the evening. Steakhouse and a martini.
It would round the day out.
It would.
I like that. Number three, what's your favorite form of exercise?
Favorite form of exercise? Right now, probably the Peloton. So Peloton bike, Peloton tread. I'm a big tread boot camp guy, where you're on the treadmill doing running stuff for a little bit, and then you get off and do dumbbell stuff. So I would say right now, and the two instructors I'm into, Jess Sims right now and Adrian Williams are my two go-tos on the Peloton bike and tread.
All right.
Yeah.
Number four, what is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you? Hey, you got a good one out of me, by the way.
Oh, man.
The tables have turned.
The most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. There's a lot of them. I'm just trying to think of the most embarrassing one.
Let's do a work one. Think of something work-wise.
Work-wise, what's the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me?
You want to come back to it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Let it simmer.
Yeah,
I've got some
let's
other
let
stuff.
that one simmer, and I'll come back to it.
This is going to be a doozy for you. What does retirement look like for you?
Wow. What does retirement look like for me? It's hard to envision myself, and I think this is the same for a lot of people, not working. So I think that I'll always be doing something, whether that's more of a passive role in our industry or our company, or if it's an active role, a limited active role. But I, eventually would love to be able to, hang out with my kids as much as possible and help them in life as much as I can, going through college and, watching them grow up and get into the workforce. And, obviously I mentioned earlier, but golf consistently would be a part of that. Somewhere where I can go visit for 6 months of the year in warmth down south.
Yep.
I think that's definitely on the bucket list. But yeah, just kind of enjoying life with Kenzie and our future family, I think, and just having the autonomy to be able to go and travel across the country and to different areas of the world to try some different experiences and try some things that I didn't get the chance to when I was working, because it just wasn't possible at that point. So I want to definitely do a lot of travel and just get out of my comfort zone, I think, in retirement.
Well put. You and I are very similar.
Yeah.
I love it. Number 6, what is your all-time favorite memory?
All-time favorite memory. I think it would be my wedding. So I got married in November of 2020, which was when the second wave of COVID was hitting the U.S. pretty hard. And we were supposed to have, I think it was like 270 people at our wedding, and it only ended up being like 55-ish. So that was a challenge leading up to it, just dealing with all the different regulations that were going on. But ended out being an awesome day, It
was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. So, at that time, New York still had very, very heavy quarantine rules. So the only people that came from New York were my parents, Al, my best friend from high school, and then 2 family friends. And then, my aunts and uncles weren't able to come. So, it was a very small group, but we made the best day out of it, didn't we?
It was a wonderful day.
Yeah, we got to go on UD's campus and party with some of the kids in the ghetto there. And that's, for people who aren't familiar with University of Dayton, that's just the student housing on
area.
campus. So
Yep.
not the actual ghetto. But it was fun to go to Kenzie's old house and then my old house and just, party and celebrate
so
there.
neat to see
That was cool. So, that's one day that will be a good story for the kids and grandkids down
Absolutely.
the
The
road.
reception at Dayton Art Institute was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. We had a really good
The
time.
after party at Dayton Marriott.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I had a good time with Jerry, by the way.
Yeah.
Thinking of Jerry again.
Yeah. Actually, okay, so most embarrassing moment, it's not a work moment, but it's up there for me, is that we actually, to put it lightly, were asked to leave our wedding reception a little early.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Because people weren't following COVID guidelines to a T.
Take this in for a second. You were told to leave your own wedding reception.
Yes. So, layman's terms, we were kicked out of our own wedding reception.
Another way to say it. A little more direct.
So, and it's hard though when you have a wedding with when we had that small amount of people, it was all like the closest people.
It's your wedding
all of our
party.
close friends, right? So, at a wedding, people are just drawn to go dance and interact with people, and during
They wanted you to
COVID-
dance by your chair.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I would say getting kicked out of your own wedding was pretty embarrassing.
That has to be there. Well played. Here we go. Number 7. When have you felt the proudest?
Oh, man. When have I felt the proudest? I'm going to do 2 different ones.
You can take as many as you want.
One is personal, which was, again, at my wedding. It was my twin brother, Matt. His best man speech was really good. And I think it just made me realize how lucky I am to be a twin. Because some people are only child and don't have that relationship with another sibling. And, me and Matt have been obviously best friends since we came out of my mom's belly. Mm-hmm. And then our little brother, Ryan, 6 years younger than us. So I think the proudest I've been was on my wedding day, just realizing how special it is to have that close of relationship with my two brothers, and just proud to be a part of my family. It was great having, my parents there, and obviously wish the grandparents could be there too. But I was pretty proud after Ryan gave his speech at the rehearsal dinner, and my dad gave his speech at the rehearsal dinner. My mom gave a speech at the actual wedding reception, and my brother obviously is the best man, Matt. So that was the personal side. The non-personal side, I'll go work side, is when, we, went into business together formally. You took a shot on me when I was pretty young, and gave me the opportunity to come in and kick some butt, or try to, and help grow the business. And, that's something that'll stick with me forever.
I love that. Thank you. No, it's worked out so well.
It has.
I couldn't envision it being any other way.
I know.
I can't.
And the funny thing is that if people don't know, when I was coming out of college, the summer before my senior year at UD, I was working for Charles Schwab out in Phoenix, Arizona. And, at the end of my senior year, at Dayton, you gave me a job offer, and I had a job offer from Schwab. Mm-hmm. And, I was talking with my friends about it, and obviously everyone was like, oh, you want to live in Scottsdale, Arizona, don't you? I mean, who wouldn't want to live out there? They're like, do you really want to live in Dayton, Ohio? And I think I surprised everyone when I made the decision to stay in Dayton and join you and the team here. And it was the best decision I ever made. I'm just one of those people that likes the smaller firm, very close with their coworkers, family style relationship. So this, I thought, made sense for me, and I am so glad that I did it, because like you said, I couldn't envision it being any other way.
It's very special what we have going on here.
Yeah,
I truly believe that. Thank you. Let's see here. What is the one thing most people do not know about Mark McEvily?
One thing that most people don't know about me. I think most people know that I'm a twin, so I think that would be a cop out.
They know you like golfing.
I like golfing. Maybe one thing people, at least in the workspace, or people in Ohio, don't know about me was I was a pretty avid hockey player growing up.
I think that is something people won't know.
So growing up in Rochester, New York, upstate New York, about hour and a half from the Canadian border, hockey was huge. And, ever since I was little, I was playing hockey, and I was a goalie. So it was kind of funny how I ended up getting to be a goalie, because this goes back to when I was playing soccer when I was like 5 years old, right? Everyone plays soccer like when they're little growing up. It's just like a rite of passage, I feel like.
Yep.
And at that time, I was a little chubbier and a little less athletic. So I wanted to be a goalie because you didn't really have to move that much. You could just stand in net. And I think that was in my mind when we started skating and playing hockey, but I realized quickly that wasn't the case with playing goalie. But yeah, just played all throughout high school, and didn't play after high school, and wanted to go to college and just enjoy college, which I was glad that I did. But I definitely miss playing and being on the ice. I haven't been on the ice in probably 5 or 6 years, I want to say. So
I'm smelling a team outing coming up here.
Yeah, maybe this winter, go skating at a rink somewhere. That would be fun.
The other observation is when you and I travel and we talk about the high school you went to, a lot of people know this high school.
Yeah, a lot of people know Fairport High School. It's a pretty big high school. So I think when we graduated, we had about 650 kids in my class, I want to say. Whereas Kenzie, my wife, graduated from Ada up near the Lima area, and she had about 35 or 40 kids in her class. So
talk about a 180.
Yeah. So it was a big high school. It was great. Public school. Made a lot of my best friends from high school, going to Fairport. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I think that is solid.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that about you.
Yeah, and it was fun. The high school sports was awesome. That you have a Friday night game at 7:00, and the whole school's there rooting you on against one of your rivals and that type of thing.
Super cool.
Yeah, it was great.
So here's a zinger for you. Number 9. What golf course is on the top of your bucket list?
I I'm going to cheat here because I have a list on my phone.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to allow you to give 3, but you have to tell me what number 1 is.
Okay.
Okay?
Wow, this is tough, Matthew.
I knew. This is going to be great.
Oh, man. Number 1 on my list right now is probably Bandon Dunes out in Oregon.
Okay.
That's one that they have a bunch of courses out there that you can go play. That's like a guy's golf trip. If you want to do a golf trip, that's got to be at like the top of the list.
Got it.
Number 2 is actually, I'll say Royal St. George's because that's where they're playing the British Open this year. But I'd love to go over to like Ireland and Scotland and just go play like St. Andrews and Royal St. George's and all the other big courses out there. Yeah, the old links. And then number 3, I would say is probably Concession down in Bradenton, Florida. So they played there earlier this year. I think that's where they had was it the Players this year? No, it wasn't the Players. It was some other tournament that they had, but I just remember watching it on TV and being like, wow, we got to go down there and play. So I would say Concession down in Florida is number 3.
I love it. Yep. I can't believe I got you to pin down 3.
I know. I think about that often, actually. So
that's like you asking me, what's your top 3 wines?
Right. Exactly. It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do. All right, let's keep switching gears. Why did you decide to get into finance?
I was always in college interested in the markets, and it always was just something that intrigued me, but it was also something that I never understood, and I wanted to get to the point where I understood that fully and how markets work and, how you buy stocks and how you sell stocks, because I always had this interest in trying to figure out different ways of making income, right? So I was really interested in, at that point in reading, Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal and those type of publications back in college. And then the first stock that I ever bought was Southwest Airlines, actually. And the reason why I did it, which is funny now because I tell people not to do this on this podcast, was one of my roommates, Matt Fazio, also was invested in South Airlines stock. And he made me this pitch that I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm in, boom, buy Southwest. And I think I did sell it at a gain. I think it was like, over a couple of years, 40 or 50% gain, I think, in Southwest. And that was the first and last time that I bought Southwest Airlines.
Have you bought an airline since?
No, or any airline for that matter. No. Bought in debt of an airline before.
We have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Delta.
Yep.
But yeah, no equities in airlines anymore.
And these are not a advocate for or against any sector or bond of an airline, but I find it hard to believe I'll do that either. Number 11, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
Man. I think it would be that you're not going to understand everything you think you should, right? So I think we have this warped misconception, when we're going into the work world that, we need to understand 100% of the things that we're doing, and we need to be able to answer 100% of the questions that we get asked. And that's just not realistic, right? So I think you just need to prepare yourself to work hard to try to understand as much as you can and, soak up everything as a sponge. But also be realistic with yourself, and it's okay that if you get a question you don't know, instead of lying and try to BS your way out of it, just tell the person you're going to get back to them with the information. There's no shame in that.
Great advice.
And the other thing is don't be afraid to make mistakes, because the mistakes that I've made, before entering the workforce and in the workforce, some of my biggest learning opportunities, right?
That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah. So I would say those two things, looking back on it, because I think I'd be a lot less stressed if I did it that way.
I would agree. Number 12, what's your biggest fear?
Wow.
I know, that's a loaded question.
Biggest fear. I think my biggest fear is not being able to help the people that have gotten to me to where I am today. And I think one of the things that I try to focus on in my life is just being open, ready, and prepared to help anybody that has, been beneficial to me or helped me in my life, right? So I always want to be able to give back to the people that mean the most to me. And I always want to be in a position to do that. And my fear is that I won't be if I'm asked to step in and help someone with something. So I think about that, I think, more than I should. Just, making sure everything's right from a personal standpoint, a work standpoint, a financial standpoint, to be able to do those things. Because I don't like to let people down. So that's, to say it in one simple phrase is I'm afraid of letting others down, and I never want to do that. So I think that would be it.
I know you well enough where that's spot on. Spot on. All right. If you had to describe yourself in only 3 words only, what would you choose? Jenna, you should have had me write down the 3 he's about to say.
Yeah. I would say, loyal is number 1. Caring.
Close, but
Caring
not the
is-
word I use,
yeah.
but very close. Yes.
Caring or loving. One
Loving.
of the, yeah. And I would say, just kind of quirky. I think, I don't know if people knew this about me or not, but before I got a lot of the work experience, it wasn't that I was antisocial, but I was just kind of awkward at sometimes. And I think I still am a little bit. So, and I think that the team at Jessup here will attest to that.
I don't see it that way personally.
A little quirky, but
Yeah.
in a fun way.
Yeah.
So caring, loyal, and a little quirky.
Great combo, Betty.
Yeah.
Great combo. If you hadn't gone into finance, what do you think you would have done instead?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I would say probably something in the health and wellness space. I don't know if that's a life coach thing or opening a gym or that type of thing, or personal training or anything like that.
I could see that about you.
Yeah, because that's always been a really big part of my life. And like we talk about, it's how I get my day started every morning, and I just don't feel like I'm in the right headspace unless I get that workout in the morning and clear my head for the morning, ready to start the day. So I would say, yeah, probably something to do with health and wellness, because that's still a pretty big part of my life. Or, well, even before that, professional golfer, but I don't think that's realistic.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'd
Be
carry
great.
your bag for you.
Yeah, be my caddy.
You better
That'd
believe
be
I
fun.
would.
Maybe if this whole finance thing doesn't work out, we can try to do that.
Can you imagine you and me getting on a pro-am together?
That'd be fun.
Mic
That'd be
us up.
entertaining.
They could make a lot of money off that.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Here we go. If you were an animal, what would you be and why?
Silverback gorilla.
I love it.
Just because they're fierce and big and scary, but at the same time, you see them
Take care of their family.
take care of their family, interacting with their kids, and kind of just hanging out and being relaxed at some point. So they have
Good balance.
They can switch back and forth between that. They can be as mean as they possibly have to be. But at the same time, I feel like at some points they're gentle and kind. But yeah, silverback gorilla.
I love that. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Medium rare ribeye steak. Next question.
I could have answered that. Number 17, if you could be a character in any book, who would you be? Any good reads lately?
Be a character in any book. Yeah. One that I read recently was, I believe it's called 5 Presidents by Clint Hill.
Okay.
And Clint Hill was a Secret Service agent for 5 presidents. So it was Eisenhower, Nixon, Johnson, maybe, no, I don't think it was Reagan. I'm going to embarrass myself here because I don't know. Nixon, Johnson, Eisenhower,
Carter,
Reagan. And no, not Reagan, JFK.
Okay, so before.
Yep,
Okay,
JFK. And just the stories that he had were just so incredible from being a Secret Service agent. So he was a Secret Service agent on Jackie Kennedy's detail, and he was there when, JFK got assassinated and all that stuff. But just to listen to him tell stories back when, like, Eisenhower was president, for example, they'd be, when they were in foreign countries and in the U.S., they'd be riding around in open top cars, and the security was really lax. You can reach out and touch them. And it's just interesting because I wasn't alive back then to compare that to what I know about presidents and people in power is the protection is, and the security is, out of this world.
Yeah. I mean, you and I went to a speech by Bush.
Yeah, at a conference,
and he was out of office. And man, the amount of Secret Service there was immense.
Yeah, and I've always had this curiosity about U.S. presidents, so I like to read books about presidents. But this was probably the best one that I read, just because of the different insights and intricacies that go into planning for, president traveling and protecting the president and their family and that type of thing. So that was really good. And I heard about it from, I heard Mike Rowe. He was the Dirty Jobs guy. I think it was on Facebook, or he was doing an interview, and he said he was at a bar one time, and this guy came up to the bar and he just started chatting with him. And this guy was Clint Hill. And so he looked him up and saw he was a Secret Service agent and wrote a book and everything. So that's how I found out about it. But yeah,
I love
good book.
that.
Yeah. So I would probably be Clint Hill. Be on the Secret Service detail for a couple different presidents.
I think you could make a good president.
You think so?
I think you'd make a very good president.
Oh, man. I don't think I want the job.
I'm not saying that you do.
Yeah.
I just think you'd be good at it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see someday. Maybe this is prefacing something that happens in 20 years.
I know a good Treasury Secretary.
Would you rather be the Treasury Secretary or VP? Or Chief of Staff?
I'd love to be your VP. I would do any of that.
Yeah. Or Chief of Staff, because then we can just hang out all the time.
I'm in.
All right, down the road, I'll promise one of the 3 positions.
Done. I'll take whatever you give me, buddy.
I don't know if that's considered bribery or not, but
it's not bribery. You're saying, hey, I trust this.
This person is who my cabinet's going to be when I'm elected to the presidency.
Yeah. I didn't pay you for anything. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve, I have 2 of them. And they might be weird for people. Number 1 is when people are chewing obnoxiously loud. It just like ekes me out. Like my appetite goes away, can't eat anymore, and I'm like, why are you doing that to me? So that's number 1. Number 2 is like hair in the sink. So, now that I'm married and, me and my wife Kenzie share a bathroom, we each have our own sink. And for some reason, when I look down in the sink and there's like strands of Kenzie's hair, I start to get like queasy, start to get hot. Don't like it. I'm like, feel like I'm going to pass out. And I don't know what it is because it's really not that gross, just hair, but it doesn't sit well with me.
I love it.
So Kenzie, if you're listening, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
I would have guessed another one, by the way.
Maybe there's one I'm not thinking of.
Being late.
Being late. Yes, that's another one. I hate when people are late. And I think this is something I got from my dad, too. So me and my twin brother, I'm an early riser, like to go to bed early. He's complete opposite. He's a night owl, likes to sleep in. And when we were younger, he was late to everything. And it would make me so mad. I remember one time, and he's like my mom in this fashion, right? And I'm like my dad. One time I think it was Mother's Day, which makes this even worse.
Oh, no.
This caused some tension
Wait till
in the
Matt hears
family.
this thing.
So me and my dad were ready for church in the car, and church started in like 5 minutes, and it's like a 15-minute drive. And my mom and Matt still weren't. So my dad's like, okay, we're leaving. So
Jerry.
me and Jerry left for church. Mom and Matt had to drive separately.
I could see you and me down the road doing that.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
we're going.
Yeah.
We're going.
And so we got to church, sat down, and my brother and my mom walk in 15, 20 minutes later, late. And, my dad's waving down my mom, and she just gives him the death stare.
Ooh.
And they went and sat on the opposite side of the church that day.
I could totally see Sue do that.
So Sue was not happy. Not happy. But, hey, church starts at noon. You're there at 11:50. Got to get a seat, get settled in.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. No pun intended. But, yeah, so I would say, the other one for me is being late. I hate being late.
That would have been my guess.
Yeah. Yep.
2 more. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
If I could have a superpower, what would it be? It wouldn't be, I don't think it would be like being able to predict what happens next, because I think we had this conversation on the podcast I interviewed you. Like, I don't want to know what's in my future. I just kind of want to let it happen, because I feel like that would just kill all the excitement. But if I had a superpower, trying to think of like all like the Marvel characters to see what I would.
I'm horrible with that type of stuff.
Maybe like read someone else's brain and see what they're thinking. So if you're just like looking at someone and they're thinking about you or talking about you.
I like that. That's a good one.
To see if they're positive or negative about you.
My oldest son thinks you can bench lift 400 pounds.
Yeah, that unfortunately has never been the case, but I appreciate Micah for thinking that
Rowan said that.
Oh, Rowan. It was Rowan. That's right.
Rowan said that.
Yeah. So
he randomly looked at me and he's like, hey, can Uncle Mark, can he do 200 on each side? So I'm like a total of 400. He's like, yeah, let's ask him.
Yeah. Nope. Never had, and I don't think I ever will be able to do that. So I'm sorry to let Rowan down, but maybe we can get him to do it someday.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe
Start getting him in the gym.
Number 20, if you were given $1 million of free/fun money and you could not invest it or use it responsibly in any way, what would you do with that money? It's your final question.
So that takes like donation and everything out of it.
You got to be completely irresponsible.
I got to spend it.
You got to spend it, and you have to unwisely.
Unwisely. Oh my gosh, there's so much.
I have an idea for you.
I think I know what you would have for me. I would probably, with $1 million, take close family, close friends on a trip, on like a, just rent like a Boeing 737 or like a Dreamliner.
Perfect.
And just go island hop for a month, maybe.
That sounds great. I don't know
if $1 million would last that long at that point, but
might last us that many people. Might last us two weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Island hop for a week on a 737 Dreamliner or something like that. That'd be pretty fun.
I've got 2 other ideas for you.
Let's hear it.
Buy a vineyard.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Or we sit there and we go to really, really exclusive golf clubs and we get you some memberships.
Yeah, those would be
initiation time.
Yeah, Augusta maybe. That was another one on my list. I don't know why I didn't say Augusta for golf. That's definitely on the list. Number 3 or number 4.
I think that's a given.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that those are up there too, for sure.
Well, Mr. McEvily, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks.
Tables have turned. I got to interview my best friend and business partner. So I hope everyone got to know Mark a little bit better during this Jessup Wealth Management Employee Spotlight. And it would be fun to do this again down the road.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, if we do this 5 or 10 years down the road and maybe come up with some different questions,
I think it would be fun.
All right.
All right. Take care, my friend.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Independent Advisors Podcast. If you're interested in hearing more, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified every time a new episode gets released. Feel free to share with friends, family, and follow us on Twitter at Jessup Wealth, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Mark and Matt will continue to share beneficial information on these social media sites. Also, check out the podcast tab on their website. That's www.jessupwealthmanagement.com. There you'll find links to every episode of the Independent Advisors. Have questions or topics you want to discuss on the show? Message us on Twitter, LinkedIn, or send an email with the words questions and topics in the subject line to inquiries@jessupwealthmanagement.com. We'll talk about it right here on the podcast. Certain sections of this commentary may contain forward-looking statements based on reasonable expectations, estimates, projections, and assumptions. Forward-looking statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve certain risks and uncertainties which are difficult to predict. All indices are unmanaged and are not available for direct investment by the public. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and does not constitute either tax, legal, or financial advice. Although we do go to great lengths to make sure our information is accurate and useful, we recommend you consult a tax preparer, professional tax advisor, financial advisor, or lawyer regarding your specific circumstances. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. No strategy can guarantee any objective or goal will be achieved. Advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, a registered investment advisor.